So you've done it. You poured your heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into making a film. The credits roll, and you think you're done, right? Well, not even close. In this explainer, we're going to dive into what's maybe the most critical and definitely the most confusing part of the whole process, actually getting your film out to an audience. Let's pull back the curtain on modern film distribution.
I just love this quote from marketing strategist Mia Bruno. It's such a perfect way to think about it, isn't it? Distribution isn't just some boring business deal you make at the end. No, it's the creative, nail-biting, powerful third act of your film's entire story. It's where the real journey to find your audience begins.
But before we can find the right way forward, we got to take a hard look at the old broken path. This is the one that's tripped up so many filmmakers and forced them to find a completely new way to go. So, for a long time, you basically had two choices, and neither was all that great. On one side, you've got traditional distribution. You signed a deal, hand over all the rights to your film, and kind of just hope for the best. The problem? You often see very little of the money. On the complete other end of the spectrum is pure self-distribution, where you do every single thing yourself. It's high risk, super time-consuming, just totally overwhelming for most people.
And if you want to see just how tough that road is, check out these numbers. This data shows that a huge number of filmmakers, 76% of Canadian docmakers to be exact, are trying to go it alone. But here's the kicker. Less than a quarter of them, less than 25%, actually report being financially successful at it. That's a massive gap. Clearly, there has to be a better way.
And here it is. It's called creative distribution. This is the game changer. Think of it as a hybrid, a middle path. It's not about giving everything away, and it's not about doing everything yourself. It's about being smart, being strategic, and creating a totally custom plan for your film, where you decide which partners to bring in and which parts to handle on your own.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? Well, the very first step is to stop thinking of distribution as one big thing and start seeing it as a landscape. You need to chart a detailed map for your film, breaking down exactly how and where people are going to see it.
In that map, it all starts with your rights. See, you don't have to sell them off in one big bundle. You can slice and dice them. Maybe you grant exclusive rights to a distributor in Europe, but you keep the non-exclusive rights for online platforms. Maybe you retain the educational rights entirely for yourself. This flexibility, this control, it's the whole secret to the strategy.
And just look at all the places your film can go. What's so important here are those key considerations. Yeah, a theatrical run is great, but it might be more about getting press and qualifying for awards than actually making money. But look over at non-theatrical and educational. These are markets that big distributors often totally ignore, but for you, the filmmaker, they can be incredibly impactful and honestly, super lucrative. So once you have your map sketched out, it is time to find your film's secret weapon. And trust me, every single film has one. There's something unique and powerful about your project, and the trick is to identify it and then build your entire strategy around it. So what is it? What makes your film special? Do you have a main character who's already famous? Is your film based on a book people already love? Does it tap right into a hot-button issue in the news right now? Or, and this is a big one people miss, is the secret weapon? You. Are you the expert? Never ever underestimate your own power as the film's #1 advocate. Let's look at a perfect example of this. Annabelle Loyola made a film called La Folle Entreprise. She couldn't find a distributor, so she realized her secret weapon was her own incredible, deep knowledge of the film's subject. She decided she would become the film's greatest asset. And the results? They speak for themselves. By taking her film on the road, doing screenings, giving lectures, and selling DVDs herself, she generated an incredible $120,000 in revenue over 6 years. That is the power of finding and using your secret weapon. Okay, here's another great case study, but this time the secret weapon wasn't a person. For the documentary The Messenger, the filmmakers knew their strength was a massive, passionate, and already organized group of people. Bird enthusiasts.
And the key here is they didn't just know who their audience was, they went out and activated them. They partnered with huge organizations like the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. That led to a massive theatrical run in over 130 US theaters, amazing DVD sales, and get this, they even negotiated favorable 50-50 box office splits with some theaters. That is practically unheard of for an indie documentary.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a ton of work. And you're not wrong, it is. But here is the most important thing to remember. You do not have to do it alone. In fact, you shouldn't. The next step is to assemble your crew. And look at this lineup. It's like building your own Avengers for your film.
You've got a consultant to help you map everything out, a producer of marketing and distribution, or PMD, who's like your general, executing the plan. Maybe an impact producer if your film is about social change, a publicist to get the word out, and crucially, community partners, those passionate fans who become your film's biggest ambassadors. Building a team makes this whole thing possible.
So, you've got your map, you've got your secret weapon, you've got your crew. Now, finally, you can focus on the destination. And that means defining what success actually looks like for you and for your film.
A really practical way to do this is by setting SMART goals. This just forces you to get really specific. Success isn't some vague idea. Is it screening your film for 1 million students? Is it earning $50,000 from educational sales? Is it getting 20 community screenings booked by the end of the year? Defining it makes it real.
And a huge, huge part of defining success is about valuing your own work. I want you to really let this quote from filmmaker Elisa Pulaski sink in. It doesn't matter if your goal is to change the world or just to make your money back, your work has value. Filmmaking is a profession. You deserve to be paid for your labor.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. In today's world, where there's just an infinite amount of stuff to watch, maybe the film itself isn't the final creative act. Maybe the real art, the real final creative act, is the journey you build. The thoughtful, strategic, passionate journey you take to connect your story with the exact audience that's waiting to find it.